Hello and welcome back to Planet 40k. Continuing on with our Space Marine reviews, this time we're doing the Stormtalon Gunship from the Space Marine Codex. So as always, we do our shout out of the day, selecting a random comment from our videos. This one's going to Hunter Crosset for his comment relating to the Space Marine Stratagems video that we did recently. So the Stormtalon Gunship, coming in at 9 power or 165 points for the model. It's one of our flyers within the Codex. In terms of the keywords of note, it's a vehicle, an aircraft, and it can fly. As for the datasheet, it's got a movement between 20 and 50 inches, weapon skill 6+, ballistic skill 3+, strength 6, toughness 6, wounds 10, attacks 3, leadership 8 and a 3+ save. Of course this stat line will be degrading due to the fact that it's got 10 wounds or more, so when it gets down to 5 wounds, that movement characteristic goes between 20 and 40, ballistic skill goes to 4+, and the attacks goes to D3, and then when you go down to 2 wounds or less, you're moving between 20 and 30 inches, ballistic skill goes to a 5+, and the attacks will be 1. Now notice the movement here has a minimum movement of 20 inches at all stages of the profile, so if you can't actually move to 20 inches due to terrain features or other models on the battlefield, then you simply have to fly off the battlefield and go into strategic reserves. And if you're unable to do that, then the model will actually be destroyed, but you do have the option of going into hover mode, which we'll speak about in the abilities section, which is coming up next. So those abilities, Angels of Death because it's a Space Marine, so the combat doctrines are going to affect the weaponry. It's then got the explode ability, so if it does get destroyed on a roll of a 6, any unit within 6 inches will suffer D3 mortal wounds. It's got the hard to hit ability, so you have to subtract 1 from the attacker's hit roll when this model has been targeted. And it's got the supersonic ability, so you've only got a 90-degree pivot before movement, and then you can only move in a straight line from then onwards for that movement phase. And as already mentioned, you're going at a minimum of 20 inches, and the maximum depends on what profile you're using. It's then got the airborne ability, so you can't actually make a charge move with this flyer. However, enemy units that have the fly keyword will be able to charge this flyer, but if they don't have the fly keyword they can't. You are protected in some aspects with the non-flying units not being able to charge your flyer, but flyers can. Then finally the hover jet ability, as mentioned in the intro, you can just have a straight move characteristic of a 20 inches, so there's no minimum movement there. But you do lose your airborne ability, your hard to hit ability, as well as the supersonic ability. So you do become a bit of a sitting duck because there's no -1 to hit penalty for an enemy unit to target your flyer. As for the Wargear, the Stormtalon Gunship is equipped with a Skyhammer missile launcher and a twin assault cannon. So that Skyhammer missile launcher, 60-inch range, so you're pretty much covering the entire board there. Heavy 3, strength 7, -1 AP, and the damage is D3. And if you're firing this against an aircraft unit, you're going to be adding 1 to the attacker's hit roll. So you'll be hitting on 2s against aircrafts. Now strength 7 is in a funny place at the moment, especially for the heavier weapon. So against standard infantry, which are toughness 4 or even toughness 5, the weapon strength is a little bit too much, and the AP is only -1 AP and the damage being D3, so it's a little bit unreliable when you're picking off elite infantry models such as Primera Space Marines. And when you're going up against other vehicles that are toughness 6, yes, you'll be wounded on 3s, but again, that -1 AP and the damage being D3 is very underwhelming. Against aircraft, you'll be hitting on 2s, wounded on 3s, possibly 4s, depending on the toughness. And as we've already seen with this model, some of those aircrafts only have 10 wounds, maybe less. But there's not many aircrafts in the game at present, so that ability kind of feels a bit redundant with the current meta. The twin assault cannon is quite a decent weapon to be fair, 24-inch range, so not the biggest range though, but it does have a heavy 12 profile, so you're having 12 shots at strength 6, -1 AP, 1 damage. So this is a really good anti-infantry weapon, really useful against those toughness 3 such as Drukhari models. This is going to really tear through them because you'll be wounded on 2s, and that -1 AP is all you need, and the 1 damage as well. So if you've got 12 of those shots, with ballistic skill 3 you should be hitting 8 of those, and then wounded on 2s, you might miss 1 or 2, so you should be removing about 6 models there. And of course, in the first battle round in the Devastator Doctrine, this weapon, as well as the Skyhammer missile launcher, will get an improved AP because of the combat doctrines, and they'll both go to a -2 AP. Now there are Wargear options with this flyer, so there's 3 in fact. The first one is to replace the Skyhammer missile launcher with 2 heavy bolters, or it can be changed with 2 las cannons or 1 Typhoon missile launcher. So let's quickly glance at those. The 2 heavy bolters, 36-inch range apiece, heavy 3, which will give you 6 shots in total, strength 5, -1 AP and 2 damage. If you're going against other Space Marine factions, this is probably the more ideal option. Because of that damage too, it's a little bit more reliable to be taking away Space Marine models. And strength 5 of course means you're going to be wounding them on 3s. In the first battle round, this will be a -2 AP weapon, again due to combat doctrines. So this option is going to cost you 5 points. Or you can opt for the anti-tank option, which is 2 las cannons coming in at 10 points, 48-inch range, heavy 1, so you're getting 2 shots there, strength 9, -3 AP, and the damage is D6. So you should be wounding most things on a 3+. If not, it'll be a 2+ if you're going against toughness 4. But really this is more for vehicles that are toughness 6, toughness 7 or even toughness 8. -3 AP will remove a reliable save or put them on an invuln save, possibly a 6+ armor save. And that D6 damage, although it can be good, is a little bit unreliable. You do have command rerolls if you need to, but you would hope for a good roll there. Then you've got the Typhoon Missile Launcher, which is 20 points, so a little bit of a pricey weapon this one. It's got 2 different profiles, it's got the frag and the crack profile, both 48-inch range. The frag is heavy 2d6, so an average of 7 there. Strength 4, no AP, 1 damage with the blast ability, so really good against the horde units in particular, especially toughness 3, so you'll be wounding them on 3s. And this goes to -1 AP in the first battle round. Or if you prefer the crack missile, which is heavy 2, strength 8, -2 AP, the damage is D6. Again, it's more of an anti-tank weapon, likely wounded on 3s against those vehicles, -2 AP or -3 AP in the Devastator Doctrine, then that unreliable damage of a D6. But the reason why this weapon's good is because you've got the option mid-game to change it up. If you took the las cannons for example, you are stuck with the strength 9 weapons throughout the entire game, whereas this one has got the option of going with anti-tank or anti-light infantry. And in tournaments in particular, you're not always going to know who you're up against, what faction you're going against. This one kind of keeps your options open so you can change it up within the battle. As for some stratagems that are coming in the Space Marine Codex, there's only one of note, which is the Armour of Contempt stratagem for 1 command point. To be able to ignore mortal wounds on a 5+, so a 5+ Builder Pain against mortal wounds. I don't think I've ever used this one, but it needs to be mentioned due to the fact that this is a vehicle. As for chapter synergy, Dark Angels have got a Dark Talon from this supplement, which is a better selection due to the Ravenwing keyword, so it's going to get the Jinx save, so I wouldn't select this one if you're playing Dark Angels. As for White Scars, you've got the Hunter's Fusillade stratagem to turn your heavy weapons into assault weapons, which therefore means you can advance and then have the weapons hitting at a -1 to hit penalty. So you're getting even more movement. It's probably not needed to be honest, because your movement's already pretty decent, especially on your full bracket going at 50 inches. But if you are down to your lowest bracket and you're going at only 30 inches and you want to get across the board, it's an option for you. Imperial Fist can remove light cover, which is really handy because a lot of these weapons are only -1 AP. And if you do select the 2 heavy bolters, then you're going to be getting more shots if you hit with unmodified 6s. Iron Hands, we've got a few little bits of synergy here, so the Wrathful Machine Spirit stratagem to reroll all the hit rolls, and you're going to have double the wounds for the purposes of the datasheet characteristics, so they're going to have to take you right down to 2 wounds remaining just to be bracketed once. You can also reroll a hit roll of a 1 in the Devastator Doctrine, so in turn 1, so you won't need to use the stratagem at all for the rerolls to hits there. Then finally you got the Machine Empathy stratagem to heal D3 wounds twice with the Tech Marine's Omnisire ability, which we'll touch upon in a moment. Ultramarines with the Codex discipline can simply fall back and shoot, so if it does get tagged in combat with a flying unit such as a Demon Prince for example, you can escape and still be firing everything as normal. And then Salamanders are next. They can reroll 1 single wound roll, so it really could be used for your crack missile in your profile of the Typhoon Missile Launcher. Also -1 AP weapons become 0 AP weapons if you're a target of an attack. Then they've got the Born Protectors to fire Overwatch and aid a nearby unit. Raven Guard have got the Shadow Masters for the light cover save if they're more than 18 inches away, which you definitely should be more than 18 inches away because all your ranged weaponry is at least 24 inches and you don't really want to be getting caught in melee from a flying unit. Then the Death Watch have got the mission tactics to mix up the doctrines if you want to do that, and they get to reroll 1s against a set battlefield roll. So for example, you could be selecting troops, and every time you fire at a troop unit, you're rerolling 1s to wound. So as for the unit synergy, we already mentioned the Tech Marine, and with that blessing of the Omnisire ability, you can use it twice if you're Iron Hands with that stratagem, and you're repairing D3 lost wounds. And you also get a +1 to the attacker's hit roll if you're within 3 inches as well with the Awaken the Machine Spirits. However, it's very unlikely that you're going to have a Tech Marine within 3 inches of a flyer for the majority of the game, because that flyer needs to be moving at least 20 inches per turn, whereas the Tech Marine is only moving 6. So it's very unlikely that you're going to be using this. However, if you go into hover mode, you could stick with your Tech Marine. You don't need to go with that minimum 20-inch movement. So yeah, you could stick with your Tech Marine there. Other than that, there's not really much else you can do in terms of synergy. I mean, you could go as far as hovering next to a Psyker for the Psychic Fortress, but if you're going to do that, you may as well just select a different unit such as a Redemptor Dreadnought or an ATV Invader unit. So onto the summary, starting with the good. It's got a great movement of up to 50 inches, so you can be pinging off one side of the board to the other within a turn. It's got a decent amount of DACA, especially with the assault cannons. You're getting a lot of shots there. That's going to really ruin those troop options that your opponent brings. It's actually cheaper than a Stormhawk Interceptor, not by much, but every little point helps, right? And it's got the hard to hit ability, so it's a -1 to hit due to the fact that it's an aircraft. Then finally, it's got the option of hovering if needed, again for that Tech Marine perhaps, or if there wasn't any space to land at 20 inches. As for the bad, it's not core, so it's very difficult to buff the unit. There's not really much in the codex that will give it a straight buff. It's only got toughness 6 and 10 wounds, so it's not going to last that long. Yes, it it does have the -1 to hit, but there's so many buffing options within the game that are giving a +1 to hit now that probably won't even be a factor. It's got no invulnerable save, so that's going to make it a very squishy flyer, and it's got that degrading stat line as well, so once you go down a certain amount of wounds, the effectiveness of the Stormtalon is going to degrade. Now you can't score all primary objectives due to the fact that it's an aircraft, which is a massive part of this 9th edition. Scoring primaries is key, which therefore makes it quite an expensive model. 165 points minimum for a unit that can't even score primaries, I think is expensive. Then if you're actually taking a flyer, it may as well be a transport option, at least to get some other guys in. This is one of those flyers that doesn't have the transport option, so I'd probably just prefer to take the Storm Raven gunship. Even though it's more expensive, at least that can transport some guys across the board. Then finally, that hover mode will remove your main ability, which is the hard to hit ability for that -1 to hit, and without that, this thing's going to go down like a ton of bricks. So onto the rating today. I was thinking that it's going to be a low rating, but that Twin Assault Cannon does give it a little bit of punch at range, so I'm going to go with a Planet 40k rating of 2.5 stars. So let me know below if you agree with this rating. If not, what would you give and why? Do you field it? Ever came against it? What did it do? Let me know your experiences with the Stormtalon Gunship. So guys, also remember, a random comment will be shouted out on the next Space Marine video. Remember to drop a like and sub if you are new to keep up with our frequent content. So thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.